and still get fight.
Yo, Limo, turn up the mic. Yes. Every morning I wake up and pray, put my knees to the carpet and God for me good life. Come and know if my heart wasn't pure in this life. No, I won't strive. Sometimes my days was cloudy, but I kept my feet in the most high. So much pain and struggle and frustration I've seen with these eyes. So how could I tell me that I wouldn't rise when every element of the Father is burning inside me? Only Jah know how much I've sacrificed. Fire go and blaze on me and never rise. Can't fool me, I'm blazing. What's to prove them wrong? Cause I'm so amazing. They can't stop me now. Go tell them I'm blazing. From the sun come up till the sun go down. I'm so amazing. They wish me I couldn't race. Watch me race. And they wish me foot couldn't race. Watch me race. They wish me I couldn't race. Watch me race. But tell them I'm not afraid. To put up something and wave. Rise up and be brave. Every born warrior. Let me see your hands, them raise. When we put on wickedy and boots and step out the road, success and we target to find love and happiness in this life is better than money in a pocket. If you come from nothing to something, put your hand in the air, start pumping, and you know you feel taller than a mountain. Never give up, everybody start jumping high. It's time to spread your wings and fly. Let out the passion that's burning inside you. Only Jah know how much we've sacrificed. Fire.
From nothing to something. Trying so hard to live a good life.
What's up? Welcome to the ride. Welcome to Wednesday on the ride. Ride along. As you're coming, go ahead and share up the thing. Share up the thing. Lydia, how you doing? Pick up yourself. Share up the thing, everybody.
No, if my heart wasn't viewing.
Yeah.
No.
Bunston. Bunston. Antoine, how you doing?
My feet in the
Alright, guys. So the key word today, as always, is I share, right? So as you share the program and you put it on a page, I want you to say I share. Bridget, how you doing? Thank you so much for joining us today. Good evening to you.
When every element of the Father is burning inside.
Wendy Charles, how are you? How are you, Wendy? Big up yourself. Guys, today is all about you. And we open up the phone lines very early to get your views on it. Because there are many debates that's raging after the verdict of R. Kelly. Man, I'm telling you, this debates are even getting even more, enraged than probably some of the other debates like vaccination and non-vaccination. It is up there. Yeah, it's up there in the numbers, man. People are heated in the debate of R. Kelly verdict. So I want to get your views on it, guys. It's serious. It's some serious charges. We're gonna break it down a little bit. We got two guests, right? We have, she been here on the program before. Her name is Rachel Charles. She's an advocate, sexual abuse advocate, and life coach, I believe. She wears a lot of hats, right? And also we have Tiffany Billions. She is an activist down there in Texas. She's been on the program also. And she will share a story with you today of a interaction that she had with R. Kelly. We're going to learn a lot about that in a short. This and a whole lot more, guys. Plus your comments on it as well. So right about now, everybody share the program. Put it on the page. Donna Rush, how you doing? Put it on a page and just say I share. Yeah. Joseline. Hey, Joel Grenade, how you doing, my brother? Big up yourself. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate that. Yeah. If you feel amazing today, Hey, Lynette, how you doing? Yeah. Big up. I'm trying to share. Desmond Lambert, how you doing? I'm trying to share this on all my pages, right? But I don't know if it's my net. I don't know what it is, but it's moving like it's so slow. I don't understand. So you guys got to help me. Yeah, I need you guys to help me on this one. Hey, Humilin, how you doing, Humilin? I see you, Humilin. Yeah. Miss Irene John, how you doing? Irina, how you doing, my love? Hope you're feeling better. Hope you're feeling good. Thank you so much, Candy Reed. We appreciate you so much. Veronica. Right, so the keyword, guys, is I share. Again, we're talking about this R. Kelly verdict, right? We just, I mean, it was he was just convicted. The trial lasted about 23 days. Saw about 50 different witnesses that um, came and basically tell the story to indict R. Kelly on these charges over 14 charges or so of sex trafficking, bribery, kidnapping, racketeering, and a whole lot more. The charges could basically give him from 10 years to life in prison for these activities. Now, as I said earlier, there is a major debate that is raging about this verdict. Yesterday, I posted the question on the Ride Along page, and I was shocked. Really, I was shocked to hear some of the things that people had to say, because a lot of times in cases of pedophilia and the cases of all people don't really take very good to pedophiles, especially if they're convicted on multiple counts, right? And R. Kelly being an artist that has produced a lot of hit songs over the past years, there are a few people who have been saying, that's it, he's canceling my book. They don't want to listen to his music. If they're in a party and the music start to play, they're not dancing. People are just not taking good to the verdict and what he did to underage girls. So guys, again, let me bring down my music a bit. And I promise you, it's not going to be me talking for the whole program. You guys have to participate as well. And we have our guests. Again, Rachel, who is there in England. And she is in Texas. Her name is Tiffany Billion. She is right there. But before we bring on our guest, I want to show you guys the news clip that was released on the day that R. Kelly verdict was handed down. Check it out.
Guilty. R&B singer R. Kelly has been convicted for racketeering and sex trafficking in federal court in New York City. Prosecutors allege that the singer was a serial sexual predator who abused young women as well as underage girls and boys for more than 2 decades. The district attorney says this verdict wouldn't have been possible if it weren't for the victims who testified.
This conviction would not have been possible without the bravery and resilience of R. Kelly's victims. I applaud their courage in revealing in open court the painful, intimate, and horrific details of their lives with him.
The jury also convicted Kelly of violating the Mann Act, which makes it illegal to take anyone across state lines for immoral purposes. Sentencing in Kelly's case is set for May 4th. He is also facing charges in Chicago.
All right, there we go. All right, let's bring on my guests here for today again, guys. Tiffany and Rachel. How you guys? How you doing? Tiffany, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Always nice to have you on the program. You come with some very fresh perspective, and it's always good to hear what you have to say on issues like such. So let's start with you, Tiffany. Well, before you guys know that beautiful lady up in the top there, right? Her name is Rachel. She been on the program as well. Rachel, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me again. And lovely to meet you, Tiffany.
Yes.
Good to meet you too.
So Tiffany, you heard the verdict. You saw the trial. It went on for over 20-something plus days. What was your reaction on the verdict?
So, my reaction regarding the verdict is I expected him to be found guilty based on the witness testimony that that I'd heard of through the news reporters. And so I expected the verdict to come down as it did, as guilty.
Okay, all right, okay. Rachel, I don't know if you paid attention to the trial or anything like that, but what was your take on the final verdict?
In my book, R. Kelly was guilty from the 90s. So I didn't even look at the trial because, from what happened back in the 90s, from the minute he married Aaliyah, that was it for me. So he was guilty from then. I didn't need the trial. I didn't need to look at, what was it, surviving R. Kelly and all that kind of stuff. I didn't need to look at that. The evidence was there from the 90s.
Hmm. Yeah. What did you indict him on? Like, was it the fact that he married Aaliyah? What was your indictment on him?
That was all I needed to know. You're 27 and your wife is 15. For me, there's nothing else that needs to be explained. It's abuse, it's underage sex, it's illegal, it's you're damaging a young child. There was nothing else that I needed explained after that.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a teenager and looking at it, and it wasn't until I got into like older adult years that it kind of dawned on me what was happening. But even as a teenager, when I looked at it and I'm thinking 50, and we didn't have the internet, so it's not like we could read up and all that kind of stuff. All I knew was she was underage, he was in his 20s already, and that was it for me.
So you didn't bump and grind to his song or "Wish You Could Fly" to R. Kelly or "I Don't See Nothing Wrong" or "Trapped in the Closet" or nothing like nothing. That was not your genre, your years.
I love R&B, R. Kelly, and I think Tiffany had said it behind stage. He's a good talented artist, but he was never my favorite. So for me, I didn't miss anything. I never really followed him. I Believe I Could Fly. If you were in Grenada back in the 90s when that came out, that was probably, what do you call it? People's graduation song. So there's a lot of sentimentality and stuff for that. When he came out with In the Closet, I watched every single one of them closets and I was just like, this guy is crazy. He's mad. And then there's a song that was, oh gosh, Ignition. You hear that song and you think, yeah, it's a kind of a, it's like a tongue-in-cheek kind of naughty song, but the
Right.
song just makes me feel sick because I'm thinking, who is he singing about? So yeah, in my book, he was indicted, guilty, sentenced, put under the jail from the 90s.
Wow, wow. Tiffany, you shared a story with us which we didn't know, and you actually had a run-in with R. Kelly. What happened?
I did. It was the late 90s. He was doing his Bump and Grind tour, which I think people who are fans of him remember that song, Bump and Grind. He was doing his Bump and Grind tour. I was an artist at the time. Had to be, I wasn't even 20 years old yet, but I was pursuing a career in music. And I went to one of his concerts because I was convinced that I would be able to talk him into signing me. What happened was that after the concert was over, everybody began to leave. I stayed afterwards because I wanted to speak with him. And I kind of, I stayed out of there was a lot of naivety. I was very naive at that time. Well, when I stayed, it was 100 girls that stayed, and I was chosen out of, a crowd of girls to go backstage. We were told to line up, and that he would call us into the room when he got ready to see us. So I've rehearsed my song. I have all of it together. I'm going to sing for him. And I mean, all of this is in my head. When it's my turn to go into the room, there are two men in the room. One is R. Kelly, and one looks like an R. Kelly lookalike. It could be like his brother or a bodyguard or somebody. And I'm like, oh my God, Robert. I'm so excited to see him. And he looks at me and he says, "You're not going to take your clothes off? Well, you can get the F out." So I never even had an opportunity to audition. The guy was just like, if you're not going to take your clothes off, I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. You can just get out my dressing room. And at that point, I left because I was raised to, my mother and my grandmother raised me to respect myself. So I left. I was totally disappointed. I was an Aaliyah fan. I love that age ain't nothing but a number, but it never dawned on me that he wrote that song for her and that he was taking advantage of her and basically raping her because she was, 13 at the time that they started working together. And so, that left an impression upon me when he told me to get out of his dressing room if I wasn't going to take my clothes off. So, years later, 20 years later, you hear all these allegations of people saying he forced me and he made me do this. And for me, even though I had that experience with him, I did not. The forced part was kind of a question for me because he didn't try to force me to do anything. He gave me an option. He said, "You can, if you want to stay, you have to take your clothes off." And I left. But what we don't understand about someone who's been indulging in criminal behavior, criminal activity, the more they go along with it, the bolder they get. So I can see where he would probably actually threaten those girls. And I think that the women took the stand and they testified according to their own experience. They testified according to their own experiences. And I'm really glad the verdict came back as guilty.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. She made a statement there, and I know it was echoed in the trial where R. Kelly would take such advantage of these young girls, right? I mean, the report said that he would basically have them locked up in his house or wherever they were they couldn't leave. He was basically like a slave master to them. He was telling them, who to look. They can't look at nobody else but him. He would beat them. He would urinate on them. He would defecate on them. All kind of crazy stuff, like mental stuff. But from your understanding and working with people that abuse people, right, Rachel, is that systematic of someone who been through some traumatic experience in his life already?
It could be, and they do say hurt people hurt people, so that could be a reason why, but it's not an excuse because there's a lot of hurt people out there who do not go out and hurt people. So there has to be some point where you have to make the person take responsibility for what they did, because even if you're younger and you think, okay, I've been hurt and I've done that, there has to be a point in your life when you think this is not serving me, it's not serving other people. You must be going to bed at night thinking this is criminal, I could go to jail. Nobody's that naive to think that I'm doing all this stuff to women. Why else would you have these women chained up and they can't go anywhere? Because you don't want them to talk. You need to keep them in fear so that they're not gonna talk about you. So yes, from what I understand, people say he was hurt, and that could be a reason why. But I was hurt as a child as well. I was sexually abused. I was, it doesn't mean that by default, therefore, you go on and have to hurt somebody else. And where does the realization come? Because now, how old is he now? I don't even know. He's got to be what, 50s?
Mhm.
And he's still walking. He was still walking around as if he did nothing. Nah.
Yeah. Tiffany, a lot of the songs that R. Kelly sing now, when you really listen to those songs back, right? As you said, when Aaliyah sang "Age is Nothing But a Number," we didn't really know what was going on, and he sang some other songs. I can't remember exactly those songs right now from the top of my head, right? But there are some songs that he came out with, and when you listen to it now, you'd be like, "God damn, I feel kind of guilty for dancing to those songs. I feel kind of real messed up." And I was doing it, and I was in the club, and I was vibing to it, and he was talking about having sex with other people. When you really listen between the lines, should we be guilty for the behaviors that we conducted by listening to R. Kelly songs back then?
Yeah, and so that's the thing too, is that a lot of times in these situations, people are telling us, number one, who they are. They're telling us, number two, what type of behaviors and activities they indulge in. And so when he was writing these songs and he was, pull up to my Jeep and show me some ID before I get too deep, he's telling this girl to pull up to his vehicle and show her ID before he gets too deep. Now, the thing about that particular lyric is you want to see her ID, but if she's too old for you, in other words, if she's over 20 or 25, you really don't want any involvement. You like your women younger. And he stated that by basically using younger women to take advantage of and to rape and to molest. And it's, I think that, of course, he's not the only one in our communities that are doing it, that's actually doing this. And I want to speak to something your guest said as well. She said that, we have to be careful, in our community about who we allow around our children, right? And she spoke to her own experiences. But during that documentary, Surviving R. Kelly's brother admitted that both he and R. Kelly were molested by his aunt. And so here we have, and this is no excuse because he's a grown man, right? You're grown, you're responsible for your actions. So here we have an aunt of R. Kelly who molested both he and his brother. And so they're passing down this trauma, right? They're passing down this trauma and this illicit behavior and this disgusting repetition of sexual abuse. And that's why I believe, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're inflicting sexual acts upon a minor and then you're forcing yourself on adults as well, you need to be locked up. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, yeah. Guys, we're talking about this R. Kelly verdict, and we want you guys involved in the conversation as well. 718-701-5720 is our number. Let me put it up right up on the screen so you guys could get it and you guys could participate in this conversation. Now, the question is, I'm getting a feedback as well. Let me see if I could fix that feedback. Yeah, no, that's supposed to be fixed. Yeah, the question is, does the verdict that's out right now, is that going to cause us to not listen to R. Kelly songs anymore or cancel R. Kelly? Are we in that mindset going forward that is it? This is crazy. This is not what I want my children listening to. This is not what I want to listen to. Rachel, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think that people should go ahead right now and cancel R. Kelly based on the verdict from the trial?
So as I was saying, growing up, I used to listen to R. Kelly, even though I had my issues about the relationship. The older I got, I realized that I would listen to him less and less and just not even know, oh, that's an R. Kelly song. I didn't even know. Now, when his songs have come in and I'm in a club, that's my cue to go to the toilet. That's my cue to go to the bar to get a drink. I don't listen to his music. And I'm not going to say people shouldn't listen to it, but I do say that if you are still listening to his music, knowing what he does, then you're kind of complicit in his behavior, because how can you be entertained by someone who is that sick and that sadistic? He is a good artist. I remember sitting in the car years ago and listening to a song and I was like, is that R. Kelly? Because I'm thinking this voice sounds like I Believe I Can Fly, And I remember listening to it and they were like, yeah, that's it. I was like, he can really sing. But that was it for me. I acknowledge that he has talent, but I am not going to be entertained by someone who's a pedophile and a molester and sadistic at that. How do you excrete bodily fluids on people? And there's no line in abuse. Abuse is abuse, but when you cross it into being sadistic and that kind of thing, I do question people who still listen to it. And I question DJs. Call me judgmental and I will say, yes, I am judgmental. If I'm in a club and a DJ starts playing R. Kelly, I'm looking at him like, seriously, dude? Really? Okay.
What's the difference with R. Kelly and Bill Cosby's verdict? Is there a difference? Is there a difference between what we saw with the Bill Cosby trial and the R. Kelly trial?
Bill Cosby admitted it. R. Kelly still hasn't. Bill Cosby said that he drugged women. So he admitted it. And sadly, there are still people who are still holding Uncle Bill up as, he's the nice guy from the Cosby Show. But he said that he drugged women to have sex with them. Kelly's still sitting there saying it never happened.
Tiffany, do you see any correlation between the two?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Do you see? Okay, tell you what, Tiffany, we're hearing bad audio again. So do me a favor, just recycle, go back out, and come back
Okay.
in. Let's see if you can fix that problem, guys. 718-701-5720. We're taking your call on this R. Kelly trial. People say that they sicken by just listening R. Kelly right now. But the funny thing about this, Rachel, after we did that post yesterday, a lot of people, they don't care.
No, they don't care. And I'll tell you what, if we have a child who is, 5 years old and they're molested, everybody will be up in arms. You've got a child who is 13 years old and is molested. We see it all the time. She go and look for a man. You know what I mean? What happened between the age of 5, when we're happy to protect a child, to when they're 13, to when we're saying that this child is now looking for men? And I would say the only people who are protected when it comes to sexual abuse is if you're maybe under the age of 8 years old, or if you're a man. When it comes to a female and you hit the age of about 10, nobody believes that you're sexually abused. Everybody believes that somehow you are seducing grown men. And there is no way on this earth that I will ever sit down and agree with anybody that a teenage child, Aaliyah, when she met R. Kelly, was 13. He got married to her when she was 15. She was 13 when he started a sexual relationship with her. And I don't care how much people can say, oh, she came on to him. I'm not buying that. You're a 25-year-old man. She never stepped to you. He would have stepped to her. And he, even if she stepped to him, he is within his right, sexually experienced. He's older. He's been around the block a few times. He was within his rights to say, no, I'm not having any of this. There is no grown, hardback man who can be seduced by a teenager. It doesn't happen unless he is doing it.
Right. I saw someone ask, I think it was Spice. She said, "Okay, why you bring up Cosby? Because Cosby and R. Kelly is totally different, And I understand, but the correlation that people were making is that they think that just how the society or the system was out to get Bill Cosby somehow is this kind of same thing. And we saw that on the post yesterday. When people say, well, they also get another black man down the drain. They mess up another black man life."
They
That's
need
what
to stop.
situation.
Sorry, Julia, I just cut in there. They need to stop with the out to get black men, because at the end of the day, if you've done something, you've done something. And it doesn't matter whether you're black or whatever it is. If you have committed the crime, you've committed the crime. The only time we're happy to send a black man to jail is if it's murder. But when it comes to rape, we don't care. There are so many women walking around sexually abused, being raped from when they were children. We don't care. Oh, he's going to lose his job. Oh, he didn't mean it. She came on to him. And it's not about a black man. So basically, people's going to turn around and say Prince Andrew hasn't been put in jail. This celebrity, because they're white, hasn't been put in jail. So does that mean that because they haven't dealt with him? And I'm not sitting here and advocating the criminal justice system. I've worked in it and still work in the criminal justice system. I've been there for 16 years. I know it's corrupt. I'm inside the system working in it every day. But if it puts somebody down regardless of race and they're a molester, it's done what it's meant to do. And we continue fighting to get justice for everybody.
Yeah. Tiffany, I was asking about the correlation, and I made that reference of Cosby, as I said to Rachel, because I saw people posting and speaking about how look what's happening again. Every time you turn, there are other white men that are doing this, other people that are doing it, but they always seem to get the black man. Look, another black man down again, that don't fall again, and they're looking at people who are saying, yeah, he should be put in prison for life as sellout because why they lock up another black man and we are supporting it. Do you see any correlation at all between the two?
Do I think what?
Hold on, can you hear me, Tiffany?
I hear you. You said, do I think what?
Yeah, do you think that there are any correlation between those two cases?
So regarding Bill Cosby and R. Kelly, I think the reason why Bill Cosby is free and R. Kelly is not, because Bill Cosby had an agreement with the prosecutor. He had an agreement with the prosecutor that said, "Hey, Bill, you know what? We know that you put these quaaludes in women's drinks, and during the 70s and 80s, and we know that during that time, men did that. Okay, we just need you to confess, and if you confess to doing that, Bill, we won't prosecute you." And so Bill signed a prosecution agreement with the prosecutor when his first started being investigated, and that prosecution agreement said that he can't be prosecuted for any crime that he admits to during his confession, right? And so if you remember at the beginning of the Bill Cosby trial, his attorneys had all these appeals. They were saying, "Your Honor, he shouldn't even be prosecuted because he had a previous agreement." And so the judge struck that down and said, "I'm not going to honor that previous agreement." So that is why Bill Cosby won on appeal. The reason why he won on appeal is because the appeals court said, "Hey, you had a previous agreement with the prosecutor. That does not mean you didn't do these crimes. It means that the prosecutor has to keep their word and not prosecute you for these crimes." So that's the difference between Bill Cosby and R. Kelly. And as far as conspiracy theories are concerned, we want to say, "Oh, people are out to get black men. They're out to do this and out to do that." If you don't do anything wrong, they can't be out to get you. They'll have to create and fabricate information and evidence against you, which you can prove is false in a court of law. But if you are an upstanding black man and you love your community and you love black women and you love the black culture and you're all about Pan-Africanism, and you make sure that you're doing what's right, how can they get you? Wrong is wrong. R. Kelly was raping little girls. And Bill Cosby was putting quaaludes in women's drinks, having sex with them. That's wrong. And anyone who tries to stand up for that, who tries to get on the side of the person that is hunting people down, when you do that to people, when you take away my rights to make decisions for myself, you are a dangerous person. You are a dangerous person when you force yourself upon me because of my age or because I'm in a mental state, an altered mental state that you caused. And so those are dangerous people. And for the public to say, "Hey, no, they just doing that because they black." Those types of people need to be investigated themselves. If you think that Bill Cosby and R. Kelly are not guilty, then I would question what's going on in your home. I would question that.
Yeah. 718-701-5720, guys. We really want to get the community involved in this discussion right here, because we saw the outpour, we saw the debate, we saw the massive debate that's happening on social media right now. I even saw someone did a graphic, right? Someone did a full-blown graphic and said, "Free R. Kelly." I swear, free R. Kelly. And that has been circulating, and they're very proud of it as well, right? And the thing about it too, my personal view on it is there need to be a separation, because if people were to say they would cancel R. Kelly's music, but don't you know that R. Kelly wrote a lot of other songs for other artists that we dance to sometimes we don't even know? In that era of time, R. Kelly kind of mastered that R&B genre, not by only the songs that he sang. He wrote a lot of songs, and we probably in the club jamming to it as well, and we don't even know that's R. Kelly. He was in that mindset when he wrote that song as well. So I get the analogy that it's kind of hard to cancel his music because he is a bad person. He is a pedophile. But when he sang the song "I Believe I Could Fly," that's inspirational. That, I think, that came from a different place. So don't you guys feel the same way or differently? What you think about that, Rachel?
It's a nice song. It's inspirational, but I can't listen to it for inspiration. But that's just me. I know that there's people that will listen to the song and they will say, I separate what he has allegedly did, because people still don't believe he's done it, from the song. For me, I just don't have time for it. I can't listen to it because it's associated with him. And for me, in all my dealings and how I work with people, there's two things I always talk about: is transparency and authenticity. And when you're bringing yourself, you bring all of yourself. You don't bring the part of you, it's the whole do as I say and don't do as I say but don't do as I do mindset. So I'm going to be inspirational and tell you stuff, but I'm going to be molesting children in the back. But don't look at the children I'm molesting. Don't look at that part of me. Just look at the part that's inspirational. That's hypocritical. And if we are going to be saying, I'm going to be inspired by it. And so, if you want to listen to I Believe I Can Fly, great. But for me, if I'm looking at you, I'm looking at you as a whole person. And if you're a hypocrite, I can't take you.
Yeah, yeah. Someone just brought up and say, well, talking about hypocrite and worse so are ordained, some ordained ministers who are ordained by in the church, and they are doing far worse than what R. Kelly are doing, or on par with what R. Kelly are doing. That by itself too are hypocrite and people who live in a double life. One time I saw a documentary of a particular pastor. He's on the pulpit preaching the worst you could think about homosexuality. And when they really got down to the nitty gritty of it, he was just trying to mask the fact that he is also a homosexual, and he didn't want people to know about his homosexual behaviors. And he has a following. He's ordained, and that's hypocrite as well. And these people need to be showcased and outlined, and the world needs to see and hear about how hypocrite they are as well. And I believe that not only because R. Kelly is this big superstar, was this big superstar. Now we need to look at the inside, look into your homes, right? Look into your homes. There are some old grandparents and older uncles and people in your own homes are doing just the same. We need to flush all of them out, every single one of them out. All right, everybody need to face the fire for the action, especially as it relates to child sexual abuse, right? So I had to stick that in there. 718-701-5720. Go ahead. Go ahead.
That is the reason why a lot of people will uphold R. Kelly and a lot of people will uphold Bill Cosby, because they know that they have Uncle Thomas sitting in the corner, who looks at their child, or who even molested them or touched them in a funny way when they were younger, who they would never leave their girl children with. But they're not calling the police, not setting uncle straight, because they know that they're hiding abusers in their own family. So it's become the norm. So when they see somebody doing something like, oh no, it's okay, it's the child's fault. And unfortunately, a lot of those people who are making excuses were probably abused themselves. And the reasons why they can't call out the abuser is because they're scared of their own abuser and probably feel guilt and shame because they think that the abuse they suffered was their own fault, and they can't put the blame on the abuser.
Yeah, so right. Tiffany, you were going to say something?
Yeah, well, I was going to say to those people who say, well, hey, you know what? I'm still going to listen to this music. Some of that stuff is inspirational. Some of it is, well, I still like it. It has nothing to do with what he did to women. And, oh, we still celebrate. Nobody prosecuted Trump for saying grab women by the private area. So my thing is this: those types of people I would never trust around my children. I would never trust around, my family members. And let me just back up and say the first thing is that we have to be more in tune with our spiritual lives, because we have to understand that music is a spiritual thing. Words mean something. They cause you to manifest. And when you have music, and that's why the rap culture has devastated America like it has. It's because when you cause these words to manifest and they're not coming from a pure place. I mean, he's thinking about how he wants to bump and grind with you and how he wants to do it all night, but he ain't talking to no grown woman. He's talking to a child. So when those words manifest and you singing it, and all of a sudden you want to do all manner of stuff, it don't matter who it's with. Well, that's because you're listening to, and you're allowing impurities into your spiritual portal. And so if you don't care Now, what you allow into your temple, into your body, that's your business. But for me, I care about what I put in my temple, in my body, and I won't be listening to him.
Yeah, yeah. And someone also posted on what was said yesterday. They said, look, because he's saying that doesn't mean because he's singing that doesn't mean that he's doing it or he did it. That doesn't mean that he's guilty. Some even made reference to some calypso artists or soca artists. They'll be like they sing about drinking rum all day, but they don't really drink rum all day. I mean, they don't really drink rum all the time. Some of them don't even drink. You know, so they call it that to why he might be innocent, and also they say that R. Kelly would have gotten off scot free if he did have more money because he ran broke. He couldn't afford a defense. All of this stuff correlated to the fact that why he's in jail today because he didn't have the funds, the money to get the best possible lawyer on the face of the earth to defend his case. Do you think that have any merit, Rachel?
Maybe, but then what happened to the victims? Everybody's so worried about, oh, R. Kelly, poor thing, and he's so talented. There are victims sitting there who may probably never heal. So, who knows if he could have got off, but why are we so hell-bent on trying to trying to defend something that is indefensible? Homelin had put in the comments earlier, if you was it something like if you had a builder, would you sit and eat and drink with them? You are inviting him into your house knowing what he's doing. And if you knew that there was somebody down the street who, there you go, yeah, would you ever eat if you knew that there was someone down the street and they were a really good builder, would you invite that person into your house and say, I want that done, knowing that you have children in your house? You probably wouldn't. But we're happy because what? Because he has money, because he's a so-called celebrity, whatever that's meant to be, to be entertained by it. Doesn't matter whether you had money or not. We're moving away from the fact that an offence happened, and all we're doing is giving him excuses to get off and minimizing the harm that's being caused. And then these people who have been hurt by him go on, and then you're just creating more hurt. What's going to happen when they have children growing up and thinking of all the things that's happened to them and the zero support? And then the other victims who are sitting there too scared to talk about what's happened to them, knowing that they're going to be shouted down in comments if they ever, or not believed by family members, not believed by the police. We're creating a whole global nation even of victims.
Yeah.
Because all we're doing is we're supporting, we're always, let me not say we, because not all of us are, but a lot of people are always in support of the person doing wrongdoing and forgetting that they are people who are hurting and need justice.
Yeah, so right. Tiffany, you want to add something?
I'm sorry.
No, I thought you was nodding because you wanted to say something.
No, I agree with everything she's saying. This you have to be careful about saying, well, he's thinking about it, but that doesn't mean he did it, because in this case, he sung about it and they proved that he did it. So what are you saying? And then we have to be careful about trying to make excuses for people who have done wrong. And he at this point, he's gonna have to take ownership of what he did, because if we're not careful about making excuses for people have infringed on the rights of other people, then that turns into victim blaming. And I heard a lot of that when people watch the documentary. I heard a lot of victim blaming. I heard a lot of, well, how come she just didn't leave? Or, well, that doesn't make sense because, it was always an excuse. And we do that in the only time we do that is in the Black community. In the Black community, we have a history of victim blaming, especially if the victim is a woman. If it's the victim can be a little girl, and we can say, well, what did she do with her fast self? What was she doing over there anyway? And so that is a sick mind frame. It is sick because you cannot hold a child to a standard that an adult is supposed to be held to. And that's what we want to do. When Uncle Ray runs off and he sexually abuses little Moesha, then we want to blame little Moesha and tell her what she had on was wrong. And I'm just not going to stand for it anymore. And as a community, I think we need to put our foot down. And I think this sends a message. If we think about that jury makeup, it was 7 men on the jury, 5 women. I don't know what their ethnic background was, but 7 men and 5 women said you are guilty of one count of racketeering and 8 counts of trafficking. And so I think that's sending a strong message to men everywhere and to people everywhere that men are even looking at this and they're saying, we're not going to allow this anymore. We're not going to tolerate it anymore. So it doesn't matter if regular lay people are saying, hey, it's not his fault. The jury said it's his fault. 7 men compared their own behavior to his behavior, and they said something is wrong with you, Robert Sylvester Kelly. 7
Right.
men said something is wrong with R. Kelly. They looked at that. And so we have to hold ourselves accountable and to a higher standard. And finally, our children are our future. We have to protect them. If we're not going to protect the children, who's going to protect the children? We can't raise a generation of women, of little girls and little boys that have been traumatized by sexual molestation. There's no future. They're gonna spend half their life trying to get over the trauma instead of enacting laws that should be passed to protect Black and brown folks.
Yeah.
I mean, we're responsible for their future. And you know what? If R. Kelly had not been found guilty, he was going to have to answer to the Most High anyway. He's going to have to answer to somebody. And that's what we need to understand is that even our trying to give him leeway and trying to allow him a way out, ancestors and whoever you believe in, they're looking at your heart. They're looking at your heart. We got to be careful and trust me. Believe me that the children are more important to the ancestors and to whoever you believe in than you are. Children are more important. They are more important than any adult, and that's what we need to be concerned with.
Pearl Noel is asking on screen here. She says, so what about the accountability for the parents' part? Everyone should be held accountable. The parents negate their responsibility and fail their kids. Rachel?
I agree. There's parents, from what I understand, who took money and basically pimped their daughters out to him. Also, when he married Aaliyah, there was a government official who was bribed to give them the certificate. And I kept asking, where is this person? Because they should be held accountable. I don't care how many years ago it was. They should, that's wrong. But it's still, for me, that's still trying to absolve him of some blame. Let me use an example. Junior, I don't know if you eat seafood. There's a lot of people, you like seafood?
Love seafood.
Love seafood. But suppose seafood gave you really had a bad allergy and it made your stomach really ill and you could get sick. And I came along and I cooked you a big pot of seafood, gumbo or whatever it is. Sorry, I don't eat seafood, but suppose, I gave you this pot and I said, Junior, eat it. And you're like, oh, but if I eat it, it's going to make me sick. But you eat it anyway and you get sick and you end up in hospital. I gave you the seafood, but am I totally to blame? You picked up the spoon. You put the food in your mouth. You ate it. So ultimately, even though I came with you, even if I'm the parent, and I, in my lack of wisdom, being fooled by money, thinking, oh, I'm next to a celebrity. Let me take some money. I can get my bills paid. And I'm rubbing shoulders with R. Kelly. Let me pimp out my daughter. Even though the parent did that, ultimately, it was him who slept with the child. He could have stepped away and thought, you know what? You're pushing your teenage daughter on me. I don't want no part of this. So yes, the parents are culpable, but ultimately, he did the act.
Yeah. And the system that's around him, because he's not the only one to be blamed here. He didn't do this thing on his own. His team that would set it up, his everyone that's around him is culpable as well. They should be prosecuted as well, in my opinion. As Tiffany said, that when she met R. Kelly, they had a bunch of women and security escorted a few of them to meet him. Obviously, they know what was going on. That wasn't like by a fluke. You know what I mean? And he wasn't the one that was handpicking the ladies either. So that had to be handed down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So all the people, Tiffany.
R. Kelly has a type.
Yeah.
He has a type, and so that's why I can identify with what was going on during the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, because when they talked about how the other managers and stuff would pick the girls, that's what happened in 1998 or 1999 when I went to the Bump and Grind tour. He did not pick me. It was managers and security outside that picked me and said, hey, line up right here. And when you looked at the girls that were lined up, we were all kind of the same, long hair, fair skin, you know what I mean? We were all kind of the same type. And so he relayed to them what his type was, and that's how they were able to go out and pick girls. But speaking to the other people in his entourage being prosecuted, from what my sources are telling me, and there was an attorney that I speak with who actually attended the trial, those people are under investigation. What's happening now is that they're using those people that told on R. Kelly to get more information and find leads to other artists that are in the industry that were indulging in the same behavior. So within the next couple of months, or maybe perhaps next year, we're going to hear about other famous, R&B artists or whatever genre they may be from. They're going to be indicted as well, because that's how the feds work. The feds never stop at one case. They always try to make one case lead to another case. And, some of those people, they testified against him. Some of his entourage testified against him on the stand during his trial. So this isn't the last that we'll hear of it. And the feds don't really cut deals when it comes to trafficking and rape. And so those people are going to have to do some time as well. But they'll do time at the end after the investigation of everybody is over.
Yeah, and if there is anything shocking about this, and anyway, I didn't follow the entire case. That whole 23 days, it was a lot. I didn't follow the whole thing. But one of the things that came out of it, I was like, what the? He was actually messing with young boys as well. So
Yes,
he's an equal opportunity.
he was all
And
over the place.
that,
So
yeah,
one of the people testified to is that R. Kelly had him recruit a 15-year-old boy. And the 15-year-old boy, he wanted his way into the music industry. And R. Kelly promised him some stuff in the music industry, and had sex with him, raped the little boy, because he's 15. You can't have sex with a minor. It's not consensual. And so a minor can't consent under the laws in the United States. They can't consent to any sexual relationship. So when he raped the 15-year-old boy, he did away with him. He didn't call him anymore, didn't invite him over. But then in fact, R. Kelly is, he indulged in heterosexual and homosexual behaviors. He did not discriminate against male or female. That's what came out during the trial.
sad, 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 sad. Guys, we are about that time where we're going to be wrapping up and closing down soon. I want some final words going forward from Rachel. I mean, you understand this thing also well. You have dealt with it. You hear a lot of cases about it. You're in the middle. You see what's happening here. Do you think that it is injustice to the community for people to still advocate on his behalf and speak about people that are supportive of him at this point, still after the verdict? Do you think that is disrespectful for the victims that came out and the victims that may come out for other cases?
Yeah, I think it makes it harder for victims to come out. It's hard enough already because rape is a very hard thing to prove, because usually there's never anybody else around and there's not always evidence. So yes, it does make it difficult for the people who want to still advocate. Great, but I'm worried about the younger people who are coming up, the children who are coming up, who are vulnerable. And because we have a community of people who do not advocate on the part of victims, it means that our young vulnerable children are not being supported by the village. They say it takes a village to raise a child. We're failing because we are not being supportive of our victims in the community.
Right, and that's so powerfully true. Tiffany, you want to wrap up on any key points that you made?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we just have to be careful. We have to protect our children. And that's what this case is about for me. And I'm glad that the guilty verdict came out.
Right. Okay. All right. We're having some problem with her audio and visual. Rachel, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And to the victims, the people that are even going through situations right now, and they are scared to come out, because when you come out and you speak on any of this, even on this program here, we see that you've been double victimized. People chastise you for coming out. You get blamed for coming out, and really and truly, it happened to you. Right, but we always advocate for people to still come out and tell their story and share their truth. Rachel, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Tiffany got cut off, but we appreciate her as well being on the program. We're gonna keep in touch, Rachel, and thanks again. All right.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
This one is for all the people that
Yeah.
from nothing to something. Try so hard to live a good life. Still get fight.
Yo,
All right, guys, listen.
turn up the mic.
Yeah.
Again, nobody could tell all you what to listen to, who to listen to, if to listen to R. Kelly, continue to listen to R. Kelly music or not to listen to his music. That's all in you, right? But the truth and the fact about it is we need to take a serious and hard look at pedophiles in our community, Dread. Take a serious and hard look, because there are people in our own community, and COVID-19 even make it worse, that are taking advantage of our children, the young ones. And people think it's only COVID that is a pandemic. I want to see when they develop something for the pedophiles right now, the fathers, the older men that are taking advantage of 5 and 10, sometimes even young as 2 years old. I want to see when they go take a serious stance, as serious as vaccination stance, on pedophiles, Dread. Stop giving them bail and having them walk in the street and still using their influence to have sex with younger children. We need to take a serious look at pedophile, the other pandemic that nobody do pay much attention. I mean, they pay attention to COVID, and I understand people are dying from it, but young children are being dying and being damaged because of this. Not only R. Kelly, we need to take a serious look at the situation, and not because you have an uncle or a cousin or a brother or a sister. There's no way that you should advocate for this type of nasty behaviors, Jed. No, we should speak out about it. No matter if it is, even if it is in your family. Even if it is in your family, you need to speak out strongly about it. We need to root out that evil, whatever is in their brain, that make them feel like that it's okay to take advantage of young children. Serious and damaging. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being a part of our program today on a Wednesday. Catch you guys again tomorrow, Thursday. We have a very interesting program lined up for you guys. I'm going to announce it a little bit later on the page. You get enough time to share, enough time to prepare yourself for the program tomorrow. Peace out. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Oh, I got to tell you guys this, that we are doing a series of short films, right? So a lot of the stories that you hear here on Ridealong, yeah, let's go, action. A lot of the stories that you hear on Ridealong, when we say everyone have a story to tell, so we are taking those stories and creating mini movies, short films, right? It's bringing it to life. I guess now when people see those stories, it's probably gonna be more, they can really understand the aesthetics of everything that went on. So that's what we're doing with our new series called Everyone Have a Story to Tell. Tons of short films that's going to be shot. We're starting the production already, but we need actors and actresses, right? So if you are in the New York area, that's where we're going to be start shooting a few of our episodes in the next couple weeks or so. And we're going to travel around as well. But if you are an aspiring actor or actress and you would like to be a part of our series, our mini film series, I want you to inbox the Ride Along page and we'll give you the information that you need, how you could be a part of that. Again, if you are an aspiring actor or actress and we want to be a part of it, we want you guys to inbox us and let's go. Lights, camera, action. Let's go. All right. Or you could call the Ride Along number for more information. If you have experience, better fit. All right. We're looking for folks who have experience in the field or folks who are aspiring and want to be in the front of the camera. Right, but we are looking for some level of experience. Again, that's a big plus. Big plus. We have some key roles in some of the ones that we're looking to shoot in the next couple weeks. Still available that you could get into. All right. So inbox the page, or you could call the number on the screen for more information on that. Peace out, guys. Catch me again tomorrow. Good night.
From the sun come up till the sun go down. I'm so amazing. They wish me hand couldn't raise. Watch me raise. And they wish me foot couldn't raise. Watch me raise. They wish me hand couldn't raise. Watch me raise. But tell them I'm not afraid to put up something and wave. Rise up and be brave. Every born warrior, let me see your hands, them raise.
David Williams Funeral Service serve you with dignity and compassion as you mourn. Every day, we embark on the journey of life, and one day, the journey will end. It's on that day that you can entrust the celebration of life of your loved ones to David Williams Funeral Service. Call 718-291-38.
Welcome to TD Bank, where you'll find the personalized attention you deserve and the legendary experience you expect. Let's do business. If you are a medical or dental practitioner, contact me to hear about our tailored lending solutions for residential mortgages, equipment purchases, practice-related commercial mortgages and refinance. Visit me at 500 Baychester Avenue to hear more about our full range of personal and small business banking solutions. See you soon.